He looked at the key fob in his hand, the logo shining with a promise of status he hadn't yet earned. Outside, the engine of the $90,000 SUV idled in front of a building where the paint was peeling and the windows were cracked. He felt the weight of the leather seats, but he couldn't feel the weight of the 30-year commitment he'd just signed. Everyone on the street saw the vehicle and thought he was winning. But he knew that every mile he drove was a mile further away from the person he actually wanted to be. The math was simple: $2 of common sense traded for $90,000 of image. The damage was already done before he even shifted into drive. He wasn't driving a car, he was driving his own prison cell. The realization hadn't hit him yet, but the clock was already counting down to zero. It's a script we've all seen, and most of us are currently playing the lead role. We are taught that the first step to success is looking the part. We believe that material possessions are the megaphone we use to tell the world we've made it. The nice watch, the designer shoes, the branded clothes, these are the icons of our supposed victory. They act as evidence of a high-income life, even when the bank account says otherwise. This is the world of the 30K millionaire, where credit is the fuel for a fake fire. It feels reasonable because everyone else is doing it. We see the promotion as a green light to upgrade our lives immediately. If the income goes up, the lifestyle follows. That's the unspoken rule. We convince ourselves that we deserve it because we've worked hard. But the harder we work to maintain the image, the more the image starts to own us. We become performers in a play where the audience doesn't actually care about the story. We rely on the assumption that tomorrow's income will always be there to cover today's vanity. It's a fragile confidence built on the hope that nothing will ever change. We mistake the ability to make a monthly payment for the ability to afford the item. The monthly payment is just the cost of admission to a club that eventually kicks everyone out. This is the trap of lifestyle servitude, a concept deeply explored in the book The Millionaire Fastlane. The first crack in this facade usually happens when the dream becomes a nightmare. Consider Henry, a successful professional who finally bought the mansion of his dreams. It was a $1.8 million estate, complete with horse stables and sprawling gardens. To the outside world, Henry had arrived at the pinnacle of success. But the house had a secret appetite. It required a massive amount of cash to keep breathing. When his industry shifted and job cuts began, the pressure intensified. Henry couldn't just scale back. He was committed to the stables, the taxes, and the mortgage. To keep the house, he had to take a job that required constant travel. He was rarely home to see the very thing he was working 80 hours a week to protect. The dream house had become a parasite, slowly consuming his health and his relationships. His wife and children saw a ghost who occasionally dropped off a paycheck. The mansion wasn't a shelter, it was a cage with marble floors. The freedom he thought he was buying was the first thing he had to sacrifice to keep it. This is the reality of the icons of wealth. They often destroy the very wealth they are supposed to represent. When your lifestyle is tied to your maximum earning potential, you have no room for error. The first crack is often silent, a feeling of unease when the mail arrives. It's the realization that you are one bad month away from total collapse. The 30K millionaire mirage is the most common form of this escalation. It starts with a small taste of the good life and a credit card with a high limit. You buy the entry-level luxury car because you believe it's an investment in your personal brand. An investment pays you, this car only asks for more. Then comes the story of the 3000 GT, a sports car that became a parasite. The owner got a high-paying construction job and immediately rewarded himself. He felt like a king, driving to work every morning. But when the job became miserable, he realized he couldn't quit. The car payment required the job he hated. The job he hated paid for the car. He was now in a jail sentence of his own making, fueled by high-octane gasoline. This is the gum test in reverse. You don't perform mental gymnastics to decide if you can afford a pack of gum. But when people want a boat or a new watch, they suddenly become master mathematicians. If I work overtime for 6 months, if I skip vacation next year, if the bonus comes through. If you have to do the math to see if you can afford it, you can't afford it. Most people are hitchhikers in their own financial lives. They let the government, their boss, or the economy drive the vehicle. They hope the driver is competent, but they have no steering wheel of their own. When the driver crashes, the hitchhiker suffers the same fate. Then there is Joe, the ultimate slow-lane sucker. Joe worked 60 hours a week for 40 years, saving 10% of every paycheck. He skipped the vacations, the nice dinners, and the hobbies he loved. He was banking on a future where he would finally be free to enjoy life. But the slow lane is a bet that assumes you will live forever and always stay employed. Joe died of a heart attack 4 years before his planned retirement. He traded the vibrancy of his youth for a comfortable old age that never arrived. His sacrifice was noble in theory, but it was a mathematical disaster. The event of wealth, the lottery win, the big sale, is what most people chase. But wealth is a process, not an event. The process is grueling, invisible, and often boring. When we try to skip the process and go straight to the icons, we create a hollow life. Every example reveals the same underlying mechanism. The pursuit of the appearance of wealth destroys actual wealth. The more we try to prove to others that we have made it, the less likely we are to actually make it. We are trading 5 days of misery for 2 days of recharging, so we can do it all again. Is your dream home living you, or are you living in it? If you lost your job today, would your luxuries become the bars of your prison cell? The mechanism of failure is the refusal to accept that freedom has a price, and that price is often the delayed gratification of our ego. We connect the dots and see that the 30K millionaire, Henry and Joe, are all on the same path. They all believe that wealth is something that happens to you, rather than something you build through accountability. Lifestyle servitude is a choice we make every time we sign a contract we don't need. True wealth isn't the car, it's the ability to not care what car you drive. It's the wealth trinity: family, fitness, and freedom. Purchasing stuff on credit methodically destroys all three. You cannot win a game when the rules were designed to make you lose your most valuable asset. Your time is the only thing you can't get more of, yet it's the first thing we trade for a shiny object. The perception of wealth is a drug, and like any drug, it requires higher doses for the same high. The master illusionist remains secretly terrified of the next bill. The goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to be rich in options. The question isn't whether you can afford the lifestyle. The question is whether you can afford the consequences of maintaining it. When you stop financing your own imprisonment, you start seeing the world as it actually is. Wealth is a residue of a consistent, grueling process, not a lucky event. The driver finally takes the wheel. The road is long, but at least it's yours. When the perception of the problem changes, the solution no longer feels like a sacrifice. The cage remains open for anyone who stops paying for the bars.